Hello, everybody, and welcome to another exciting episode of the weekly updated AMA. And so today I have with me Joeseph Armeanio. He's here instead of Alex. Alex is away on important Kushti business that we cannot disclose because it's super secret, super secret business. We can't talk about it. But you know Joe from those awesome technical update videos that he's been doing, and well, probably know Joe actually even better than me because he's been around for so damn long. So it's great to have him with me today. So what's been going on? Well, a lot actually has been going on. Let me pull up my notes here because so much has been going on. I really have to, I'm old and can't remember stuff very good, thanks to my college days. And so let me pull up my notes here and look at it. Well, okay. So what first thing that I would like to talk about? And that is the Cairn Labs partnership. So I know I teased it a little bit before. It's been mentioned on it, but officially announced it today. Now, this is very important, and I'll tell you why. One of the biggest questions out there is how do we get more exposure to Ergo? How do we get listed on tier one exchanges? Well, as I explained to you in previous AMAs, it's not just about picking up the phone, calling CZ at Binance, who actually I know, and saying, CZ, can you do a guy a favor and list Ergo? They're cool guys. The community is awesome. Maybe he would, but the thing is that we're not ready for something like that. It might actually spell disaster, and I'll tell you why. To be listed on a large exchange, what you need to have basically squared away is liquidity and volume. This I've talked about this before. The reason being is that you have to be ready for trading back and forth, right? So people, of course, buying Ergo, which is what we want. We want more people to come into the ecosystem. But also, you have to be ready for people wanting to sell Ergo because it's just, that's just how it is. And so what could happen is somebody tries to sell a big amount of Ergo. If we don't have enough liquidity, it will dry up the liquidity and that's going to put us in a bad spot. So the reason Cairn Labs is so important, well, first of all, they are one of the top firms, I think, in the business of market making. They came highly recommended to me by my very good colleagues, and a great track record. You can check them out online with dealing with some of the top projects in the blockchain space. And so what they're going to help us do is exactly that. They're going to help us get ready and set us on the right path to tier one listings. Okay, they're working to secure our books, to get our volume up in an algorithmic type of way, and to make sure that we have even liquidity, balanced liquidity. Very, very important. And aside from that, of course, the reputation and working with them will widen the doors for us as far as being approached or approaching exchanges to get listed. So this is a really big step, very important step. We need this to get to where we want to be, and that is on tier one exchanges. So I'm really excited about this. Another really interesting and exciting piece of news that I have is we have started to explore collaborative opportunities aimed at enhancing user experience of Yoroi with none other than Emergo. So I know that some of the community has had the best experience in the past. We're going to fix all of that. We're going to change that. We're going to make sure that your experience is top notch working with Yoroi. Emergo is very, very much involved in making sure that we enhance it to a point of where it's working right alongside with the way Cardano works and all the other currencies work in the Yoroi wallet. So what we're going to be doing is exploring collaborative opportunities to enhance the Ergo user experience, as well as other mutually beneficial verticals, and there are several ones. I will have more information about this in the coming weeks, and so I just want you to know that we're working closely with Emergo. Emergo is being extremely helpful to make sure that we address any kind of issues that we had, and we get them squared away, and you guys have an amazing Ergo user experience. So the next thing that I wanted to touch on is the marketing push. I know you've seen that we've been a lot more present online, a lot more present in the media. This is obviously all intentional. So we're pushing to increase our presence, to increase our to expand the community, to expand the word about Ergo and about what we have to offer with Ergo. And this is a multi-tier approach that we're taking with marketing. The next step that we're also have been working on right now is rebranding. And so it's not really changing Ergo, it's about making Ergo more digestible for people who are not familiar with Ergo. We're doing a website rebrand. We are doing reshuffling in the way the website and the archives and all the different pieces of information and everything out there about Ergo is UX'd. And I really think that this push will ensure that we have an amplified amount of traffic coming through once we're done with the rebranding. Another very interesting and very exciting thing that we've been started to work on is it has to do with tier 1 exchange listings, and that is procuring a legal opinion, a U.S. legal opinion from a prominent legal firm in Malta that I have worked with for several years now. They are right now working on creating a legal opinion for us for U.S. markets, which is crucial because this is what exchanges ask for. Binance, Coinbase, GDX, all these big guys, they always want a legal opinion, and they go to these guys to get it. So basically, we're working with the guys that the big exchanges go to get their legal opinion. They're going to be writing the U.S. legal opinion for us. So it's very exciting and step on the road to get us into the big leagues with the exchanges where we want to be. The next point that I wanted to talk about is something that I've spoken about before, and I think it's very important. And that is the ecosystem fund that I've touched on. So, as you know, every major blockchain has an ecosystem fund to encourage adoption, to encourage projects build. Cardano's got C Fund. The other blockchains have other funds, and so I believe that it's very crucial for us to have a fund of our own. Now, what we also need to remember is if we are going to have a fund, we need to make sure that it aligns with the fundamentals and the mission of Ergo. So Ergo is very special. It's community-driven, it's decentralized, it's democratic, it's egalitarian. We have to make sure that if we do work with an ecosystem fund or create an ecosystem fund, it adheres to all of those fundamentals. We had meetings with a couple of very prominent ecosystem fund creators and firms. And again, I'm not going to mention the names right now because the deals aren't set yet. Once the deals are set, I will let you know who it is, how it works. And I believe that this is a very important step, again, to expand the ecosystem, to introduce new traffic into the ecosystem, and to introduce mass adoption of Ergo. And so last but not least, I would like to talk about what I've spoken about on social media, I believe yesterday, because, for me, all days kind of mush into one sometimes because I have really, really long working hours. And that is the commercial arm idea that I spoke about. Again, I believe that this is crucial for Ergo. I believe it's crucial because there has to be commercial traffic coming in. Businesses, projects, people need to utilize Ergo every day for everyday things, everyday business, everyday services, to make sure that Ergo expands, Ergo grows, and it becomes more and more widely adopted and basically, mass adopted, which is what we want. We want everybody. We want to drive the armada of blockchain for the everyday people, bringing blockchain services to everyday people. And so to do this in the Ergo ecosystem is also a really sensitive nuance, because again, I don't want to, steamroll into the Ergo ecosystem with anything like this. It has to be adhering to the fundamentals of Ergo. And so I believe that this entity has to be autonomous. So it should not come from the Ergo Foundation. It has to work with the Ergo Foundation and with the ecosystem, but it has to be autonomous. It has to utilize the best parts of Ergo to create real-world real-world business cases and use cases, and then just track traffic, attract customers into the ecosystem, and then have the software stack, the SAS capabilities to bring services to people using the Ergo blockchain, and to basically expand business. We need more business. We need more layer 2 solutions. We need more traffic from everyday people, and that's what this is going to accomplish for us. So I believe this is very important. I am still exploring this idea. I'm going to be exploring it with my fellow Ergo Foundation members and community. And this is definitely something that I like to put into action very soon. It gets to be fleshed out. It has to be done right. It has to adhere to our principles, but it has to happen. So that is it for my updates. And so I will hand over the proverbial mic to Joeseph, who will give you ecosystem and major technical updates.
Sure.
For Ergo.
Thank you, Dan. I'm going to start off talking about a couple of things that are happening in the ecosystem. The first is we had some new tutorials this week coming from LadoPixel. So those of you that have been watching, we have tutorials coming out in multiple languages, German, Spanish, English. And, your review there, your contributions are quite valuable for onboarding new people. New users are really good at finding cracks. They're kind of like liquid, where if there's anything missing in documentation, there's going to be a certain subset of people that kind of fall through. So as a community, the more information you can provide to help people as they onboard, the better. The second thing is ErgoLand, which is application that's being put together on top of Ergo, is starting a series of educational courses, trying to take people from kind of a basic overview of UTXOs and kind of getting into smart contracts developments. That process, I believe they had their first meeting group. I don't think the actual classes themselves have started yet. But in my opinion, especially looking at like the Plutus Pioneer program and things that Cardano has been putting together, I think that's something we should work to emulate as an ecosystem. In my role with the Ergo Foundation, that's one thing I would really love to see put together, is a development path to onboard new devs to jump into ErgoScript and figure out how to build on our ecosystem and start putting together more community stuff. There's tremendous value in that. The third thing is that Alex has been having an ongoing discussion about a soft fork. to kind of rebalance the emission of Ergo. Now, one thing you have to keep in mind is earlier last year, we had a hard fork that switched off non-outsourceable puzzles. And so a part of our initial, let's just say, calculus and looking at how the schedule came out was based on non-outsourceable puzzles. And that kind of creates a unique mining paradigm where if you don't have the ability to pool your mining resources, mining becomes much more like a lottery system, where over time, the amount of hash power that you have should represent your return, but it's kind of stretched out to where, you know, if I have 1/100th of the network hash power on my rig, in theory, I should be getting a blocks, you know, something along that interval, right? And so traditional mining is often based on much more consistent, smaller rewards, where people get, you know, a share of their pool. Sometimes it's pretty stale, and you know they kind of stack dust until they have enough erg to withdraw. Some people prefer the small pools. So we got a couple of interesting community-driven pools. One of them is called GitBlock, which kind of is in alignment with the initial thinking where we need to try to decentralize mining pools. So they allow miners to mine together through a smart contract where you can create your own little mining federation and hopefully, you know, create a nice pool with friends or friendly actors. The other one is Enigma Pool, which has been a ongoing development that the Ergo Foundation has been, you know, assisting with. Now, Alex put a couple of options on the table because that's, you know, he's wanted to start a conversation. You know, it's easy for people to say, oh, you know, Alex is, you know, kind of the head of Ergo. He doesn't want to be. You know, he has kind of the famous tweet, take as much power over the ecosystem as you can. And so his goal here is not to try to, you know, give dictates from, you know, kind of the position of power. He wanted to start a conversation. And, you know, I think that the community so far has done well in terms of response and questions and criticisms. But ideally, as we turned off the non-outsourceable aspect of Ergo, we're going to kind of tailor the emission schedule to fit that change. And so I believe right now there's 4 options on the table on ergoforum.org. If you're a miner, please take a look. Give us your feedback, you know, your criticism. Your input's valuable here. It's something that we want to try to get as many people to the table as possible and try to find some middle ground between, you know, whatever extremes arise. The last is, I believe Morphic is going to be releasing some test data in terms of our upcoming client upgrade to version 5.0, where the costing mechanism is going to be shifting. And so we should get some additional data, a kind of overview of what the TPS potential is going to look like in that new model. There's something to follow. So beware of that. Try to keep your eyes open. And when it comes out, that's going to be something that is upgraded via vote. So, you know, it's good to get informed and, you know, vote with some sense of knowledge of what you're voting for. I know that's not always how things work, especially, let's say, in the US government. You know, we'll read it after we vote for it and then figure out what the hell we just did. But hopefully we can have a better, you know, better governance system in this type of thing. So that's all from me, Dan. Let's kick it off to the community and see what they have to say.
Yes, sounds good. Sounds good. So actually, Joe, I have a very good question for you to start with. Let me just find it. And so Here it is, and it comes from Tristan, and he's asking us, can you speak more on the Ergo Waves enterprise implementation and how this could expand Ergo's presence in utility a la Chainlink?
Sure.
And so obviously this is end up referring to our recent partnership with Waves. And so why don't you elaborate on that, Joe?
Sure, that's a great question. One thing about Oracle data that is kind of interesting, let's just call it that, is as a blockchain, you have a massive amount of energy, or in the case of proof of stake, money, that is in essence being used as a mechanism to secure consensus, right? So that consensus is built on a tremendous amount of value. And then in these systems, we have smart contracts, which require Oracle data to function, that in many cases, the foundation or consensus of that Oracle data is just one data point. So you may have, in some cases, hundreds of millions of dollars that are supported by one data feed, right? And if you look at security from like a human perspective, if I have $10 in my pocket, I might need one level of security or assurance versus if I have $1 million in my pocket, I might want, a safe, maybe some upgraded security in my house. I might want better assurances. And if I have $100 million, I may want a Swiss bank account. I may want, that to be insured. I may want even, let's say, greater assurance. Now, if businesses are going to transition to a smart contract model, right? We need to have Oracle data that offer a range of assurance to where ideally with Oracle pools, you might have something that's low level like IoT, right? Where it's pinging the blockchain, and that data itself is low value, okay? I think that makes a lot of sense for a single source, single point Oracle. Once you start getting into smart contracts that have more value on top of them, I think that makes a lot of sense to have greater security assurances. You may want multiple sources. You may want multiple actors. You may want your data to be hardened so that you have better assurances that, that one thing that's holding up potentially millions of dollars doesn't have an issue and you lose, $30 million is gone, guys. Sorry. Now, if you take that even further, let's say, take that even further to where, let's say that in the future you have $500 million, you need a certain hardening of, that one data point literally kind of is the brain of the smart contract. It's what it's reacting to. And so having a solution that number one is flexible. So in my thinking, it's like, okay, if we can take the Oracle pool framework, we can make the economics of it make sense, and we can create it to where we have actors that businesses can, plug into the community and say, okay, we need, one actor with 7 data points. We need 3 actors with 7 data points. We need 100 actors with 7 data points, right? And so they kind of choose their own, the security model that fits them versus, kind of having a one size fits all solution that we try to plug into everything. I think having the overview of, okay, where is the product market fit based on their need? I think that's pretty critical. And then it's a matter of saying, okay, well, I don't want to be the person that's dictating the market. Ideally, I would like there to be flexible models to where if enterprise A says, I'm going to give my Oracle actors a flat fee, and they agree to that, it's between them, right? Or perhaps there is a tokenization of a federation of Oracles, and so they have some, token model that they can work back and forth with different enterprises. That's up to them. I don't want to be kind of the director of the market. What I'm trying to do with Waves is create a sandbox to where we can say, okay, for low priority, what does that look like? And where does it make sense? For medium assurance, what does that look like? What's the cost? Where does that make sense? And for, kind of the higher level hardened data, what does that look like? Where does it make sense in the market? How much does it cost? Having some framework that then I can go into the community and say, hey guys, who wants to participate? Because my end goal with oracles is not to kind of be in the middle. I just want to facilitate the community being able to spin up and support this so that people that run infrastructure on Ergo can create revenue streams. So
yeah, that's very important. That's exactly what I'm also talking about is commercialization means revenue streams. Revenue streams are important, and that's why these proposals are also important, and data hardening is also so important. So this is a really big step, I believe, for Ergo to really take the next step to become more widely adaptable.
Yeah, I know there's a mentality among traders that are always like, just throw it to market and pump my bags, right? Do it now. It doesn't work like that. You need long-term kind of thinking and planning to build these things. So I would ask for a little bit of patience.
Absolutely. I mean, look, we need runway, right? And that's what I always ask the community is to give us runway, because these things don't happen instantaneously. With the blockchain movement, with the approach that we take, the approach that Ergo takes, the approach that also Cardano takes is, and that's something that we get criticized for sometimes is, we do research first, we do the testing first. We don't just, toss the bag into market and let's see what happens. Let's see what sticks, the move fast and break things approach. You can't do that with these kind of systems. You can't. I worked, in the beginnings of my career, I worked during the .com boom back in the late 90s. And we did the move fast and break things approach with the .com business. And you know what happened? A bunch of things broke and the market crashed. Whoops. You don't want that with this. You don't want it to. You don't want the blockchain, because what we're talking about is billions of dollars. We're talking about changing the world. We're talking about financial security. We're talking about bringing financial services to people who haven't had these services before, who haven't had access to such robust services before. So if we do that, right, and if we're coming in and we're saying, we're better than the traditional banking system, the traditional financial system, then we have to have the infrastructure to back it up. And so, this is very important. I mean, I'm sure that Joe obviously agrees with me in that perspective.
Well, I think especially with Oracle data, every time that somebody says, "Whoops, sorry guys, I lost $30 million," I think that the adoption of businesses and smart contracts gets a little further away. Having flexible solutions that the actual client can kind of look through a range of options and then choose what makes sense for them, I think is the path forward versus the one size fits all. And if it breaks, sorry, approach.
Yeah, absolutely. You can't. There has to be responsibility and accountability. Just because we're decentralized doesn't mean that the responsibility and accountability is decentralized. That's you can't point fingers and say, "Oh, well, whoops," that's just that's not us, them. That's that. People are going to say, "Okay, guys, we're going to stick with the old rickety but still working system." And again, like Joe just said, they'll move, actual smart contract adoption and blockchain adoption further away. Absolutely. So let's move on. And there is a question. There is a comment from Bert Dockery, who says that Dan looks remarkably like Mel Blanc. Well,
I just take it as a compliment.
At least I don't look like Mel Brooks.
There you go.
That's all I gotta say. Well, but thank you. I really like Mel Blanc. Actually met him one time in Hollywood. Him and Tony Shalhoub were at some tea place. I was in line with them, and came in. It was me, Mel Blanc, and Tony Shalhoub. I was just there. It was a remarkable moment in human history, and I was there. So you guys can say, "Wow, I know Dan, and he knows the guy. He knows Mel Blanc because he saw him one time." Anyway, moving on. I would like to touch on another question by Bert, which is, do you have a commercial sector you will target for adoption, i.e. retail, supply chain, etc.? Yes. I believe that one of the greatest things about Ergo is that it's fast and it's compact and it's scalable to meet small and mid-sized business demand. And so what's happening now in the blockchain industry and mass adoption in the commercial sense? Governments are getting into it, right? Big conglomerates are getting into it. For example, at Cardano, we just signed a deal with a Fortune 250 company called Dish. People living in the US know it really well. Another deal that actually I just put through is with Straight Brands, where it's something like 4 million scans, 4 million units. So it could actually be more than that, but 4 million units that are going to be fitted with an authentication solution. And so that is the approach that the major players are taking right now. I believe that market we should aim for is small to mid-sized businesses. We should create and start with what they need, as Bert mentioned, supply chain, so basically traceability and authentication. And like I said, it has to be created to be accessible for small and mid-sized businesses. And using Ergo, I believe they can be achieved. That's number one. Number two, what I don't want to do is have to compete with, like say, for example, even our friends Cardano, I don't want to compete with them. I want to work in sync with them in a symbiotic relationship. And I think that our market share is something that we can basically work with together and really kind of feed off of each other. I think that, in union, we can reach, much, much higher grounds. So that's basically where I think we should focus. And again, I will elaborate on that further as time goes by. So thank you for the question. And like I said, more information coming soon. Let's see. There is a question for. Okay, so there is a comment from one who says, "This Armeanio guy sounds like he knows what he's doing. I like him." I agree with you. I also like Joe. He knows what he's talking about. So yes, we're in agreement on that.
Cheers, Ella. Thank you.
It's the truth. It's the truth. It's not. It's no. It's no BS. Is the truth. Let's see. There was a question here for Joe. Here's a good question, and that's from Stefan Janssen. I think that's how you pronounce it. How many developers are working on Ergo full-time, part-time, or anonymous contributors? How do they get paid? So, Joe, why don't you elaborate on that a little bit?
Okay, so we have a variety of developers, and the exact number is actually something that nobody knows. And part of the reason why nobody knows is we do have teams that are anonymous. That is something that proof of work kind of encourages. Is you have miners around the world that have the ability to get Ergo through their hardware without ever having to buy anything. Just their hardware work kind of buys them access into the system. And we've had actors like that since inception. And so some of them bring, the Anon Real is a good example. He brings a pretty deep understanding of the Ergo tooling and building on that. And he actually does have developers that work for him. So he has kind of his own shadow team that how many people are on his team, I have no idea. Now we have the Ergo Mixer, same story, where you have a kind of project manager that's anonymous and a subset of developers underneath them that, I don't know how big that team is. Based on, their output, I think they're pretty well organized. They're pretty efficient. Everything is open source to offset the risk of being anonymous. But in terms of that aspect of the community, I simply don't know. I mean, is it one? Is it many? Just no idea. Now, we also have other dApps which have teams, and the exact number of developers on each particular dApp, I don't know. That changes based on their requirements, I would imagine. I'm sure they have a core team for their back end. If they are doing front end stuff, they may bring someone on board temporarily or permanently. That's hard to predict. In terms of core developers that actually work on the reference client, the node, kind of Scripto or ScoreX, I would say we have 12 to 15. One thing that is kind of flexible there is we have bounty hunters that come onto our GitHub and will chase down bugs. And sometimes those bounty hunters will use that as a way to build their reputation, and they will end up working actually for Ergo. The Ergo Foundation does hire developers, and I believe we have a space on our GitHub where we advertise open positions. Generally, I would say if you want to look at like what is the skill set that seems to be the most in demand, it's probably Rust. So, for anybody out there that's looking to kind of refine their skills as a developer, I would say Rust is a good language to look into that will get you pretty much into most projects or supporting companies in the crypto space. But they do get paid from the treasury. That's something that, it's a process of coming in, working with our developers, chasing down bugs or bounties. Then Morphic or Kushti will say, hey, this guy is someone we need to keep around because, they're killing a lot of those bounties. And then generally we'll try to reach out and get them on full time. But it has kind of been organic, let's just say gathering. There are developers that come and go. There are some dApp developers that, will pop in like every 3 months and say, hey, we're working on, an example is Ergo Index. They participated in one of our hackathons. They have popped in once or twice into the developer update weekly and said, hey, we're still working on, putting that together. Now, where exactly are they? I don't know. Hopefully they pop in soon and, we get at least some sense of what they're working on, what they're doing, but that can be hard to predict in a open network. I hope I answered that question. It's not exactly a clear answer, but I don't know the exact number. Let's say.
I think that's really the reality of Ergo is it's such a decentralized ecosystem that you can't account for everybody who's working on it because it's a decentralized ecosystem. People work in tandem with each other. People work anonymously, and what we know is what we see on GitHub, what we see in in core software updates, and that is what happens when you have a decentralized ecosystem. You have to take that as reality.
Now, one thing I wanted to add is we have brought on Anastasia, which is kind of doing a 3-part role at this point. She's being our treasury, she's Kushti's personal assistant, and she's also acting as a liaison between the Ergo Foundation and developers or dApp developers. So we're trying to put together a communication pathway to where we can gather information a little bit more efficiently, compile it, and have a better kind of overview of what's happening. I believe she's going to start sending out some forms or ways of contacting this week. So if you're building an Ergo, please try to connect with Anastasia. It's one of those things. For a while, Alex was able to kind of have an overview, but it's gotten so busy that you can't track it. So we need a better way to kind of funnel that information into the EF so we can really help serve the developers. What do you need? What kind of functionality or changes would be optimal for what you're trying to do? And so we're trying to put together workflows to encourage that feedback. It's in process. And hopefully once it's actually active, I can answer that question. It's a goal anyway.
Yeah, actually, to touch on the just general sense that I'm getting from everybody that's watching us right now, and just people in general in the community. As you know, I like to stay really, really engaged with the community. You know, you can find me on Twitter. I'm always there because I obviously have no life. At least not one that where I can turn off my devices for more than 5 minutes.
Yeah.
The sentiment, yeah. Well, you feel my pain, Joe. I know, because you're right there with me. I'm messaging you in the middle of the night or whatever, like 6 o'clock my morning, which is whatever time when you're part of the planet. I live in Japan. Joe lives in the U.S. In mountain time, and I'm used to it. I'm used to it. Joe is getting used to it. He's getting used to having to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning, which is what he had to do today to be with you guys. So I'd like to really kind of say thanks for being with us. And kind of letting us giving us this awesome engagement.
Oh, my pleasure. Now, not really, but I'll do it for you guys.
Well, yeah, it's not your pleasure to wake up at 5 a.m., but it's your pleasure to be with the community. I get it. I'm also like that. Some people, somebody just commented here, said, Dan looks tired. Yeah, I wake up at like 6 a.m. I go to bed at 10, and in Japanese, we say shoganai, which means can be helped. But it's there's a much bigger picture that I'm trying to paint here with what we're doing, and being a part of this is just I'll sleep later.
Yeah.
So what I wanted to touch on actually is expanding the ecosystem. So, of course, the commercial arm is one part. And as you know, if you've been looking at the market, yes, it's all about metaverses and NFTs. Okay, maybe that's not the right, as you know, about NFTs and metaverses. Yeah, it's that was a little bit cynical, of a cynical tone. I don't want to do that. How do we capitalize on that, right? How do we get into that wave that's moving the market right now? Russ, I will not karoshi, and actually that's a Japanese term, means death from overwork. Karoshi. I will not do that. I am not a salaryman. Getting back to NFTs, how do we make our NFTs stand out? Well, I think just like with everything, Ergo is not your ordinary blockchain, right? We do things differently here. And with NFTs, I think we should take the same approach. We have great NFTs. We have Ergo Gnomes. We have other great projects, great art. I'm a big fan of it. But I also think that what we should embrace, and I would like to speak to our NFT creators and leaders in the community that are specializing in this, is the other aspects, the other functionality of NFTs that are not being utilized right now because everybody's really into just, NFTs mean collectibles. NFTs are used for collectibles. I think that the angle we should take is what the true power of the NFT is. It's basically your intellectual property. It's a digital identity for your intellectual property. What does that mean? Well, you know that NFTs are not just for pictures. NFTs are for intellectual property rights. NFTs are for monetary distribution. NFTs are for storing personal information and unique identifiers. You can use an NFT to unlock a door, for example, right? You can use an NFT to you can NFT a bottle of premium liquor, and then pay dividends to people who combine ownership of that particular bottle of liquor. And then when it gets sold by glass, for example, this is in case of whiskey, you can then profit share like that. I mean, there's so many different things that we can utilize NFTs for, and I really think that we should focus on that, because not enough blockchain spaces are focusing on that. And that is what is going to drive the market. I guarantee you this is what is going to drive the market. I'm sorry to say this, but I'll be blunt with you, okay? After the NFT boom is over, 90 to 95% of what you see out there will be gone. Just like with the ICO boom that we had in 2016, 2017, okay? 95% of the stuff is going to be gone, but the 5% that's remaining is going to live on and just balloon into the next bull market for NFTs, and the next bull market for NFTs, just like this bull market for blockchain adoption, is all about utility, right? It's not about ICOs. It's not about, somewhat about ICOs, but, it's not all about, I'm gonna do some ERC20 shitcoin, and then I'm gonna get it listed, and then I'm gonna pump it, and then I'm gonna dump it. It's not about that. Blockchain projects and crypto projects are concentrating on usability. They're concentrating on adoption. They're concentrating on functionality, and I think that is what is also going to drive the next NFT boom. So please, guys, I would like to really see if the community can concentrate on that. I really think that will give us our edge, and I really think that this will kind of put us on a map to really go, survive past the deflation that's coming with NFTs, and to really come out on top when the next NFT boom happens, which will be the other function in NFTs that is not utilized right now, and that is what really is the power behind NFTs.
I completely agree with you, Dan.
Yeah.
Right now we're kind of in a, let's just call it the retro Jordan effect, right? Where you have a new, sneaker come out, and the market goes crazy, and everyone buys them for an ungodly amount of money. And it's true, long term, some of those are worth more money than I would ever put on my feet. Let's just say that. But I do think access control is a huge market for NFTs. I do think that in terms of the natural mid segue point between, let's say, NFTs and kind of a metaverse, in my opinion, is custom gaming stuff and access control. And access control can also be if you have a group of people where you have access to, a particular group or membership, or, something along those lines. I think real world, the lowest hanging fruit right now is probably something even like concert tickets as a form of, verifiable identity. I went to Woodstock, whatever, and who knows what, could be built on top of that later.
And I
It would be
really
fun.
think that I mean, this is exactly what I'm talking about. And I really think that this is also something that the commercial arm, the autonomous commercial arm of Ergo should concentrate on as well, is utilizing Ergo NFT in that particular sense. And that could be paired with the traceability solutions, with the authentication solutions, with what other products that we can create to utilize the power of Ergo. I think NFTs and that particular functionality is huge. It could put Ergo in a totally different category, set them apart from everybody else, because I just don't see enough of that happening right now. But my words, that is where the market is going to go.
Yeah.
And will have first mover advantage if we concentrate on that now. I know it might not monetize right away. Okay. I know people are going to say, oh, well, where's your metaverse? Where's your 10K drops of whatever art, where's your Beeple? Where's that guy? Where's that guy on Ergo? And I think that if we concentrate on that particular nuance and that particular niche, it will take us above and beyond many, many other projects.
One thing I would like to add, just in theory, is if you kind of think out, okay, let's say we do monetize NFTs, and we do have kind of people that publicly, you can see what kind of data or activities they, partake in. That seems like it's a nice platform to kind of rebuild the whole digital advertising landscape without scraping and tracking everyone, to where it's more permissioned of what you want to show or, what you want to attract. I think that long term, that's going to be an interesting market to watch develop.
Absolutely. So, I would also, I see a question from Hamilton that came up a couple of times, so let me address that. The biggest issue right now is low volume and dilution is to leave our little island with bridges. Can you talk about the wormhole? So yeah, this is something that we've been concentrating very much. This is one of the top priorities for Ergo right now, and Joe can back me up on this. It's all about bridges. It's all about bridge building. It's all about trustless bridges, semi-trustless bridges. I have also procured several conversations with prominent projects for us to work with. Again, something that once the agreements are signed, I will elaborate on. And yeah, I just think yeah, it is the way to increase volume, increase traffic into Ergo. And what do you think, Joe? What is your take?
Sure, it's a priority. No, that's the first thing I should say. It's a priority. It's something that we are actively developing, building towards. That started with kind of MHS Sam and Kushti reviewing different solutions and saying, okay, well, what makes sense where? What are the security trade-offs? What's the efficiency of each particular model? I know that MHS is actively working on, let's say, porting Wormhole to Ergo, plugging into Solana first. Then that gives USDT will be the first non-native asset on Ergo, I would imagine. I think after that, we are working with Graviton. That's kind of on the other side of the wormhole. They want to get their native token on Ergo Dex, so that'll probably be the second. Then it's just a matter of saying, okay, well, what kind of blue chips have depth and what makes sense in terms of who wants to send stuff to Ergo? What is kind of the pitch? I think we have a lot of unique privacy tools. I think that once things start tokenizing, especially if they are driven by kind of the liquidity mining and use paradigm, that might make sense to draw liquidity into the Ergo ecosystem so people can capitalize on these projects early, because generally that offers a longer return. So it's a matter of us trying to plug in, number one, liquidity into our ecosystem. But it also gives us a way to, once this Oracle testing comes to market, we also can use the bridge in the other direction to where we can say, okay, well, what can we offer Solana with, the tools and services that we offer? And, I do think that multi-chain is the way to go. It's just a matter of understanding the trade-offs of every system and what makes sense where. And I think we're in a good position long term. One thing I really like about Ergo in terms of the development path is, we have literally like a timeline that's based on years in terms of what we can build out. And, we haven't really hit kind of the maximum capacity of the network in terms of what we want to do, what we want to build. And there are a lot of projects that are much more valuable than us that, I don't really see any new innovation or path forward or, growth potential. It's just a matter of they're, well established, but stagnant. And so I'm much more excited to be on the little guy side that has a big potential in front of them.
Well, I think value is not just derived from market cap; it's also derived from the value that your technology brings and what it can offer in as far as, well, the general mission of the blockchain movement. And I think that Ergo has got a lot of that, and a lot, as you said, it's got a lot more innovation, a lot more tech than some of the projects that have much bigger market caps. But as we all know, hype, speculation, volatility, that's what
you can say Shiba. You can say Shiba here, Dan. It's okay. The dog coins.
Okay. Well, I'm not. I'm not a fan of meme coins. Okay, I'll tell you. If you want to spend your money on shit coins, that's fine. That's your money. Okay. But don't expect it to provide a viable ecosystem and a viable financial vehicle, basically talking about like it's going to change the world. Don't do that. It's a meme shit coin. Okay. That's one of the reasons why I say, I like Comet. Comet is they embrace the shit coinage. They embrace it. Okay. And that is why it's awesome. Hosky is another one. They embrace the shit coin motto, and that's what it's all about. It's all about having fun. But once you start actually, talking about how, Shiba is gonna change the world's financial systems, like, no, it's not. It's a freaking meme coin, man.
I'll be honest. On my side, I would rather go to the casino because the drinks are free. Dog coins can't compete with that.
Yeah, exactly. So let's. I think it's a good place to kind of end right now. So I know there's a few other questions. Like, for example, House of Coin kept asking, how do we increase your internet connection? Well, I'll tell you, in my case, talk to the Japanese government. The internet here really, really, really sucks. Okay, I suffered. This is my undoing. Okay, the internet connection. So yeah, I know. I can feel your pain. I'm probably coming in like, sorry about that, if that's the case. Joe's got a much better internet connection. At least he's in the U.S. So don't forget to check out, if you like what you saw today, don't forget to check out our new monthly showcase show. The first one will be released on this coming Monday. So it's going to come out every month on the first Monday of every month. And so what we're going to do is we're going to showcase different, stars of the ecosystem, projects, special guests, and just show you what the ecosystem is about. What the last food I ate in Japan was pizza. So yeah, that's the last food right there. Yeah, somebody asked what's the last food I ate. It's pizza. It's not all about white rice and sushi for me anymore. I've been here almost 10 years. It gets kind of tired of that. So the show, check it out. You're really going to love it. We're actually, our guest for next week's show is Ergodex. Okay. Ergodex, I know you guys are all excited about it. We're all excited about Ergodex. We're going to have them on the show. We're going to have them show you how it works. And they're going to show their UX and UI. And, everybody's talking about, hey, DeFi on Ergo, DeFi on Cardano. What does it look like? Ergo, who's Ergo? Oh, who's Cardano? That's a ghost chain. Ergo, I don't even know. Is that Ergo? No, it's Ergo, We're going to show you what it's all about. Ergodex is going to show you what it's all about. Please tune into that. You will not be sorry. You will enjoy it. I'm sure of it. So with that, I would say, that's a good place to end our AMA. And thank you very much, Joe, for joining us once again. Like I said, Joe was up at 5 a.m. to be with us. So thanks a lot, Joe.
Thanks for having me.
We really appreciate it. All right. Well, thanks a lot, everyone. And well, have a good day and good night wherever you are, and we'll see you later.